So with this new administration, I think one of the things that people are wondering about is there going to be stablecoin legislation that's coming out or regulatory guidance on what it means to be an issuer of a stablecoin? I think the answer to that question is yes, which begs the next question, which is what is that going to look like and what does it mean for what we're doing? It could go a couple of different ways. I don't think all legislation around stablecoins is necessarily positive, but I do think that it will help like mainstream adoption, especially as we think about banks potentially offering stablecoins to their end customers, right? To give an example of what that could look like or what are the types of issues, right? KYC is one of them. What we're talking about is we're talking about dollars on a blockchain in a distributed network where some of these dollars could be held in wallets and by people that are unknown to the financial system or unknown to the known actors. For some people, that causes them a lot of stress and wondering about like how to think about that. The analogy that I love to use is the US banking system and paper money. So if you think about it, if you want to go to a bank and you want to take out $10,000, let's say $100 bills, the bank's going to ask you who you are, what your bank account is, and you're going to have to go through their whole KYC process to have an account open. But once you have the $10,000, it's really in your pocket to go do what you want to do with. So you go out and you're probably out in the economy doing good things, buying food and clothes and all of paying your taxes and your rent and all of those different things. But you could also be using those funds to buy drugs or weapons or any of those other things, right? And so all of those risks and all of those attributes exist today within the current US financial system and paper money. Ideally, legislators would look at this and they would say, let's try to mirror that and let's not overextend our reach, right? I think where we have a world where every transaction that happens on a blockchain gets like government surveillance is an overstep and is an overreach. And so I hope as they're coming out with regulation, they consider those things and they consider some of the great freedoms that we have with the current financial system and currently the way that money works, and they don't try to take away those freedoms from the citizens. I'm hopeful that we'll land in the right spot, and it starts with education. That's, I guess, maybe another point is that I do think that actually there's a lot of lawmakers in Washington that actually really understand a lot about the technology, and that's pretty exciting. And they also understand these freedoms that we experience as Americans and that we enjoy. And so hopefully they'll figure out how to blend the two of those things together.